Friday afternoon, probably where you are. But once again, it's time for our weekly Wisdom Factory Community Hangout. And we are here today with an important reminder to start with. Up at the top of your screen, you'll see a bit.ly link, which will take you to a registration page for Ken Wilber's new, what's he call it? The
talk
on introducing broadcast, introducing the superhuman operating system, something that we have profited by greatly, and quite sure you will too.
And also our guest. Is it guest? Community member guest.
No, he's not a guest. He's a regular. He's
regular.
This is the business of the
evening. You're no longer a guest. You're a resident.
No, you are not longer a guest. You are an integral part. And we should say
an integral family member.
Yeah. An integral family member.
There we go.
You forgot to say that we are the Wisdom Factory and that you are Mark and that I'm Heidi. Yeah.
I didn't forget. I just hadn't got to that part.
And the bit.ly link, we have to spell it.
Oh, yes, and I can't spell it up there.
It's bit.ly/1,
the figure, the number, 1 hour broadcast.
So 1 HOURBROADCAST. I will learn it, the spelling at the end.
Broadcast, yes, okay.
bit.ly 1 hour broadcast. And tomorrow is the replay of the talk which Ken Wilber gave on Tuesday. It's
second chance.
Talking about a course which begins the repetition of the course will be on 17th.
An iteration. A reiteration.
Okay, iteration. Anyway, we did it about a year ago, and we met Lawrence there, and since then it has developed a very good collaboration. And Lawrence wanted to lead us, me and Mark, into a process, one of his many processes which are really great. And so we thought we just have you participated, and we do it publicly. And maybe somebody will show up still. It's fine. Otherwise, even in replay, or if you're now in the audience, just follow what he is saying.
And so, with that, I guess we turn it over to our fellow integral family member
and great teacher, Lawrence Gold.
Ah, shucks, folks. So the title of our gathering today has to do with what I call the 4 faculties of intelligence. And we're going to bring that down to earth very quickly. So when we talk about faculties, what I'm talking about is general abilities that everybody has, everybody uses. It's present in every living being. And those are attention, intention, memory, and imagination. And we all use those moment to moment. I'm going to explain why I call those the faculties of intelligence. Now, intelligence has to do with the ability to regulate ourselves and our relations for the sake of well-being. That's a general kind of definition. And in order to do anything like that, we have to be able to pay attention to what's going on. We need to have an intention relative to it. If you're going to regulate things for your well-being, that's your intention, well-being. You have to remember what you're doing, or you forget and go off track very quickly. And you have to have an expectation of the outcome. That's where imagination comes in. There is no experience that anyone has that doesn't include all 4 of these at the same instant. Together, they form a kind of a unit, which I'm going to show you momentarily here. I've got a nice little graphic here, and I'm going to show this to you here. So do we have it up, Heidi? The graphic of the tetraseed? Oh, I say, looks like things have locked up. I'm going to give us a moment here.
It is here. It's okay.
Okay, very good. So you see that there are 4 different points here. And together they make a single.
Oh, wait a minute. Now it's black. Before we saw it, and now it's also an echo.
Oh, I see. Well, all right.
Now it's here.
Now it's there. Okay, you can see it again. Most mysterious, but there we are. So you can see that there is a white on the bottom right, a green at the center, a yellow at the top, and a red at the left. I color coded those for ease of distinguishing them from one another. For those who are familiar with the Ken Wilber's all quadrant model, you'll see a little diagram in the upper right, which consists of those 4 colors, and they correspond to the 4 basic faculties of intelligence as they first emerge in a person shortly after birth and in development. I'm not going to go into that bit of detail at length, just to say that you'll see the 4-quadrant model in the upper right and how it lays out in that 4-pointed structure, which I call the TETRASEED. Tetra means 4. There are 4 faculties of intelligence, and seed is the origin of any kind of living thing, any kind of growth, any kind of development. I want to do a quick check with Heidi. Any echo from my end?
No, at the moment is, let me, when we talk was the echo. Yeah,
there's a little echo.
Yeah.
A little bit of echo.
We can be quiet, so you speak all the time, so there is no echo.
Right. So the thing is that every one of these aspects, these faculties exists in all of us, but they're not necessarily equally well developed. So you may have heard the term short attention span. You may have heard the saying, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. You may be aware that some people have issues with memory and some people don't have much of an imagination. These faculties tend to develop unevenly in people. And as a result, their ability to creatively interact with experience is also limited accordingly. The good news is those 4 faculties can be brought to life deliberately in a person, and by so doing, they get much more effective. Their intelligence about everything increases, and this is true of any kind of intelligence you can think of, whether it's emotional intelligence, that is having a feel for emotional interplay with people and being able to be skillful about that, or mathematical intelligence, or cognitive intelligence, the ability to recognize things and see relationships among things. Doesn't matter what kind of intelligence we're talking about, they all involve attention, intention, memory, and imagination. And those 4 operate simultaneously. They all mutually reinforce. So that said, what I have in mind for our gathering today is to wake up those 4 faculties in everyone who's attending by guiding you through certain internal processes and show how they are interrelated, and then show how you can use them, in this case, to reveal hidden intentions that we may harbor around certain things that we don't recognize that we have, but that which interfere with our successes in those various areas. I said that the 4 faculties are mutually reinforcing, and you'll see as we get into this how by using those faculties we can surface hidden material in ourselves at the level of feeling. Now, I just touched on a point. I said at the level of feeling. And the reason I make a point of that is because we live in a time where the word mind, the thinking mind, is highly valued and in fact is considered the coin of the realm, the ability to think. And so people tend to convert experience as quickly as possible into words and lose the direct experience. but they're going by the words because they have memories about how things operate, and they use the words to remember how to handle different kinds of experience and to get an idea of what those experiences mean for them in any given moment. In other words, how to react to experience. So people substitute words for direct experience. We're going to go the opposite direction. We're going to go straight from words into direct experience. And that's how we're going to do everything that we do today. So getting back to those 4 faculties of intelligence, let's touch on each of those in such a way that you can get a feel for them. So I'm going to hide the graphic now. Are we good to go on that, Heidi, or are you seeing me, or do I need to do something else?
No, it's fine.
Okay, good. All right.
The graphic is still there.
Oops.
You
Oh, the
must get
graphic
it.
is still there. Okay. It fooled me. I thought we would stop the screen sharing, but I'm not getting, here, give me a moment here.
Stop on top, the green. Okay, now you are here. But it's
Okay.
still, when we talk, it's an echo, so we have to be silent.
All right. So attention, intention, memory, and imagination. Let's go for attention first. Now you may notice that you're paying attention to this broadcast. What we do to pay attention to something is direct our senses toward it. We aim our attention, we aim our senses in order to take in an experience. So in this moment, notice something in your environment, and for a moment, put your attention on that. Doesn't matter what you choose. Okay, now switch and put your attention on something else. Good. And one more thing. Could be something in your mind or body sense. Okay. Now you may notice that to move your attention around, you had to do something deliberately. What you were doing was exercising your intention to put your attention someplace. And in fact, to keep your attention on something requires ongoing intention. Otherwise, you would just wander off to something else. So holding your attention on something is an act of intention. However, if you don't remember that you're paying attention to something, your mind wanders, you're off target again. So you have to be exercising your memory to keep your intention to put your attention on something. If you lose the memory, off you go. Now, the final one is imagination or expectation. You have an expectation for this broadcast that it's going to be interesting. God, I hope so. In any case, that expectation is what fuels your intention to remember to keep your attention on something. And if any one of those disappears, off we go. We can't maintain that experience. Let's try something right here. Deliberately remember something. It doesn't matter what, just arbitrarily, right now. Good. Now, remember something else. Good. And remember something else. Good. And remember something else. Good. So you just exercised your intention to pay attention to memories of one sort or another. Let's do a little exercise because there's an interesting set of relationships between those different faculties of intelligence. Let's take attention and intention. We already actually got that experience, didn't we? You exercised your intention to put your attention on something. Now, let's put our attention on our intention to pay attention. Feel what it feels like to intend to pay attention. See, there's a kind of a forceful deliberateness to it, isn't there? Now, we've already seen that it's impossible to put your attention on something without intending to put your attention on something. Even if you're distracted by something, you're still intending to follow the distraction because you're interested. What may not be quite so obvious is that memory and imagination are similarly related. So I had you remember something. Now let's try the opposite side. Try imagining something. Right now, arbitrarily imagine anything. Okay, good. Now imagine something else. Imagine a banana. They have those in Europe, right? Okay.
Yes, we have, even bananas.
All right then. Now imagine what you look like in the mirror.
Before or after?
After.
Okay.
Now remember what somebody you know looks like. Now imagine what they look like. Now remember what they look like. Now imagine what they look like. Now remember what they look like. Now imagine what they look like. Isn't it odd how similar remembering is to imagining? Now you may have noticed that remembering something feels more solid than imagining something. Let's do a little experiment. Imagine a cloud. Good. Now, remember something you've actually seen. Now imagine a different cloud. Good. Now remember something else you've actually seen. Okay. Have you noticed that memory seems more solid, more substantial than than imagination?
Yeah, and for me it was weird because when I imagined, I noticed that I imagined something which in fact is sort of a memory, maybe elaborated memory, then I change it a little bit. But first I go into the cloud, which I saw, more or less, and then could you put your ear things in so
Yeah,
when I speak? Otherwise I'm too constricted to be silent.
Yeah, that's hard.
That's really hard.
Plug them into my head here. All right.
Yeah.
Good.
Now, getting back to our topic here. Yeah, Heidi's just pointed out something very central, which is that memory is a kind of launching pad for imagination.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Imagination is new, memory is old and familiar. Memory sticks around, imagination tends to evaporate very quickly. That's why we don't remember dreams typically unless trained to remember dreams. Now here's the next wrinkle. If you want to remember anything, what you do, don't you, is repeatedly imagine it until it sticks.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So imagination is the door in to memory. And memory has this little drain in the floor where it leaks out unless refreshed by memory. So that's a relationship between memory and imagination. Let's do a little exercise to firm up those four. So I'm going to guide you through a process that I call the setup, S-E-T-U-P, the setup. It's a technique we use to prepare ourselves to dissolve the grip of some kind of experience that we want to have soften and go away for us using the gold key release, which is a procedure I teach people for freeing themselves from the binding effects of memory and experience, anything that makes experience seem stuck and solid. The setup is a preparatory step. And I'm going to describe it briefly, and then I'll guide us all through it, and we'll get an increase of vividness of the experience of attention, intention, memory, and imagination. So it goes like this. And remember, you don't have to do this right now. I'm just giving you a preview so that when we do the process, it'll be easier for you to get into it. It goes like this. And let's see. I'm going to use a tangible object just to make it easy to get into this, a ball. Okay? So it's like this. Attend to or put your attention on a ball. Now you're going to have to imagine this to do it. That's okay. Put your attention on it. Now remember a ball. Now remember attending to a ball. Now attend to remembering a ball. Now remember a ball. Now intend a ball. Intend a ball means make it be there. Intend remembering a ball. Remember intending a ball. Intend a ball. Imagine a ball. Imagine intending a ball. Intend imagining a ball. Imagine attending to a ball. Attend to imagining a ball. Now attend to intending a ball. Intend attending to a ball. Remember a ball. Imagine a ball. Imagine remembering a ball. Remember imagining a ball. So that's the full process, and it's intricate but simple when done step by step, as I'll be coaching you. What we're doing is making every possible connection between those four faculties of attention, memory, intention, and imagination. And that makes them much more self-reinforcing when we do it this way. I'm going to do it slower with you, of course. The former experience was just a quick preview. Okay. So let's use the ball as our item, and you just choose some particular ball. If you have one in your environment, in your room, you may use that, or if you just want to remember a ball that you've had. So here we go. Attend to the ball. Good. Now remember the ball. Good. Now remember attending to the ball. Now attend to remembering the ball. Now remember the ball. Good. Now intend the ball. Intend there to be a ball. Good. Now intend remembering the ball. Good. Now remember intending the ball. Good. Now intend the ball. Good. Now imagine the ball. Good. Now imagine intending the ball. Good. Now intend imagining the ball. Good. Now imagine the ball. Good. Now imagine attending to the ball. Good. Now attend to imagining the ball. Good. Now attend to the ball. Good. Now intend the ball. Good. Now intend attending to the ball. Good. Now attend to intending the ball. Good. Now remember the ball. Good. Now imagine the ball. Good. Now imagine remembering the ball. Good. Now remember imagining the ball. Good. That completes the process. Now you may have noticed that they kind of blend into one another, right? Attending kind of blends in with remembering, and remembering kind of blends in with attending. They do. They all blend in. They all combine. And this is kind of what they look like when they combine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? They get more vivid. They're actually just four aspects of the same thing. You getting my graphic of integrated tetraseed?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah. You know, Lawrence, we have done that already sometimes, but I still find it difficult. And I imagine that for people who have never done that, it will be difficult, you know, to get this, to try to make a difference between. I mean, you say they are all different aspects of the same thing, and it's good to know, but I really try hard to get a difference.
Mhm.
Remember what you have done just now. It was imagining, you know?
Mhm.
So I always have to sort of try to get an order in my brain to know what shall I do, and it's probably what you intend, isn't it?
Well, it is, because they're all part of the same process. They're all part of the same basis of experience of any kind. But as you can see from earlier on, that you can deliberately put your attention on something and know that you're putting your attention on it, or you can deliberately remember something and know that you're remembering it. So they are at once one thing, and yet we can get them to be more or less distinct.
And can you explain a little bit why you do this process? What is it for? I mean,
sure.
You know, I feel a little bit. I as I told you before, no, so I'm entering in a slightly different state of consciousness by my endeavor to do it.
I hope you're explaining it doesn't destroy the state of consciousness.
Unlikely. Okay, here's what it is. This is what I've noticed, that when we feel stuck with any experience, is because one or more of those four aspects is either unconscious in us, not immediately available to our noticing it, or suppressed, or distorted, subconscious. And because they are that, we don't have a voluntary handle on them. We can't control them. And so the experience that they combine to produce also feels out of our control. We feel stuck with it, because basically we don't have our hand on the controls. Or put another way, we're not playing with a full deck. There are four suits in the deck, just as there are four aspects that we've been discussing. And if any one of those is missing, the game stops. You can't play the game freely.
Does it mean when we develop the same amount of all these four aspects, then we are able to be more conscious? Or?
Yes, exactly that. Not only are we more conscious, but we recover our power in the situation, which is why I've titled this kind of work Intelligent Self-Empowerment. It's simply recovering our faculties, bringing the ones that have become dormant or habitually driven unconscious back into awareness and back under our own control. So it's tremendously freeing and empowering. It's a way of getting unstuck.
Yeah, I'm just thinking a little bit about, you know, normally when we talk about imagination, I remember my parents said, you are too much dreaming, things like that. So we think it is that, and we sort of have learned to say, no, we want to go with objectivity and what really is and things like this. Is this a different thing?
Well, it is. In fact, it's the exact opposite. People don't want people to imagine when they're trying to control them. Say in the schoolroom, where children go into daydreams. I know I did, and I did the same thing you did, Heidi. I got the idea someplace that daydreaming was wrong, so I began to stop my daydreams. And what does that do? It plants you into a kind of solid reality, apart from your daydreams, that is not really of your own choosing. So when you recover these faculties, you recover freedom. The general experience of recovering those four faculties around any item, any topic or subject or issue in your life is that it begins to soften up immediately. As soon as you get all four going in a decent, close balance, the feeling of stuckness dissolves, and you get what you were describing as an altered state of consciousness. What it really is just your freedom, which for most people is an uncommon state. People are used to being bound up and stuck in conditions. And they say, I can't help it.
I think this is relatively difficult to explain to people, you know. The state in which I feel now is it's more soft,
Yeah.
it's more listening.
Mhm.
And so I don't know. There's a limit to what explanation can do, but
Yeah.
the experience is a completely different thing. It's just there. You have it, and we're
Yeah.
feeling it now. You know.
I feel myself more quiet.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
Also, when I did the exercise, my mind was busy trying to figure out what it needed to do.
Oh, there were some jumps that were so, pow! My goodness, along the way that really surprised me that they were so forceful. Uh, but it was just part of the bouncing around that produced this state.
Yeah.
And so, mhm.
And that points out something else, which is the unevenness of our development of those four faculties.
Mhm.
And the unevenness varies according to what you're dealing with. So if you're dealing with a difficult life situation of one sort or another, let's say, oh, there are three basic areas that are really key for people: money, food, and sex. And if we have trouble in any one of those areas, we'll notice that one of those four faculties is hobbled, is crippled, is deficient. And if we wake it up by this general kind of exercise, things start to move and change again. Whereas a different area in your life, say the challenge of remembering sports statistics, for which I have no interest, but it's an example. You'll notice that the unevenness is a different unevenness. A different faculty is stronger. Say in me, the intention to remember that stuff is pretty weak.
Mhm.
But someone who's really interested in sports statistics who can't remember, maybe their memory is weak. You see?
Mhm.
So there's an unevenness. By evening out the unevenness, those faculties come online.
Okay.
Now, there's another step to do. Before I do it, I want to make sure we're complete on this one.
Yeah, I'm sort of in consideration a little bit about what it really is, because people are used to get tools, and when you do it, then comes out this and that and that. And with the tools.
Okay.
And
Okay.
with these tools, you cannot really, you cannot follow. If I do X, then Y,
Mhm.
You would expect when you do this exercise that you go completely crazy because you don't know how it is to intend a ball or something like this. You don't see while you are doing what the outcome is. You cannot imagine what the outcome is. So
Yeah.
we are used to getting so much more blunt instructions normally,
Do A, do B,
do
do
A,
C.
do B,
Yeah.
and then bang.
Wow.
And the connection seems to be obvious, while here the connection is not obvious.
No.
So I wonder if you can say something about that.
Sure. By definition, if one of those faculties is subconscious or undeveloped, there's a state of not knowing going on.
Mhm.
So you're bound to encounter the feeling of not knowing during a procedure like this. But what happens is that what was submerged and unknown surfaces. And it's always a surprise that it
Mhm.
surfaces. But it's also true that when it surfaces, it's somehow familiar, like you knew it all along, kind of deeply tacitly, because it's familiar, because it's actually been what's been going on in you all along, but you couldn't put your finger on it. It was
Mhm.
elusive.
Let me try to understand.
Ah.
So if I have a difficulty to attend to the memory of a ball, for instance.
Mhm.
What is missing? What is my normal state, which is not that?
Mhm.
I don't get that.
Oh, okay. Here's what it is.
Mhm.
Here's what it is. People are accustomed to thinking of things as being separate and distinct. And so they expect things to be different from each other. But when you're attending to remembering, merely remembering involves attending to remembering.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't lead to something different, but you expect it to. And so you think there's something missing. You think you don't get it. But in fact, if you simply intend to remember something, it involves remembering something. Remembering automatically involves intending to remember it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that when we say the instruction, we're reinforcing the action.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So when you say intend to remember, then I tell myself, I want to remember blah, blah, blah. And this is for me expressing the intention. Is it already the intention? Yeah, probably it is, or not. Or do I only say that?
Well, that's the point. Again, we started out with people tend to make words reality rather than direct experience. And that's because people don't have a kind of internal control of themselves where they can go straight to a thing without the words helping them along. The words are stepping stones, which is fine if you take the step and don't just stay on the stepping stone. You take the next step, which is the experience.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that I would need to know, to have a direct experience of memory without object, or of intention, or of, I need to know what it feels like.
Right. Just like the feeling of squeezing your fist, there's no words needed there.
No.
You just do it. It's a feeling you go for. You remember the feeling, you go for the feeling by doing the action. So in the beginning, people sometimes need to use the words as helpers to get to the experience. Then eventually what happens is you have such a feel for the experience of intending to remember something, or just remembering as an action you do, a visceral action, that you don't really need the words to help you along other than to start you and to remind you of what you're about to do.
Mm-hmm.
So when someone says pay attention, you know what that means. Here it makes it easy. Let's use an example. Your name. A name is nothing more than a call for attention. If I go, Mark, immediately his attention rises. Names are attention markers. And you don't need to do a lot of internal grinding of gears to do it. It's available very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
It's a similar kind of immediate availability that develops with some familiarity with each of these four faculties, so that they are as available as keeping your balance when riding a bicycle. You can't do it by thinking. You do it by feeling.
Mm-hmm. Well, this explains why I sometimes think I have difficulty with intending, because actually I'm doing whatever I'm intending to do. Mm-hmm. And I'm not lingering on the intending. If I do linger on intending, then I wonder, what is this intending business? Mm-hmm. But if I just go to what I'm intending to do, attending, imagining, remembering, there's no problem.
Right. That means you need the object of your intention.
Well, not necessarily. No. There's an odd thing about imagination. Mm-hmm. You can call something up in imagination without knowing what it's going to look like in advance.
Yeah. Yep.
This is strange. I thought imagination, I need to have an image, a relatively clear image. But if I imagine something, like you said, the cloud, I have a sort of a clear image, but I leave some, some contours I leave out. I leave it open to change, but I have sort of a quite defined idea of what that is. And what I said before, it is memory. Because of memory. Mm-hmm. I sort of know how a cloud looks like, and then I think yeah, I'm an artist. I can make it a little bit darker or a little bit rounder or whatever. This would be for me the imagination, but without really knowing what I imagine, what that would be, I don't know. Maybe I understood wrong.
No, you just didn't start quickly enough in the process. There was a moment just before you imagined that familiar cloud. Before you remembered it, there was a moment just before you remembered it. You didn't know what you were going to remember. You just
so
remembered.
You say when you say imagine a cloud in this moment, before I really find the image of a cloud, this is the imagination?
Yeah, actually, memory is the storage, but it has no features. It's just storage. You've got to imagine something in order to remember it. If I ask you to remember your phone number, before you remember it, there's nothing. Then you reimagine your phone number and you call that remembering because it was stored.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's very interesting to go deeper in that, to really beginning to understand what these things are. We are using them so
and how liberating
normally,
they can be.
so normally without having any idea of what we are doing.
Yeah.
And this was very helpful, this moment before.
Yeah.
This is a tiny little moment.
Boom.
And this is the act of imagining.
And that happens with each of his directions. Every single one of them. There's before we actually do what he asks us to do, there is a moment that's uncertain.
Yeah.
But it becomes clear. It solidifies in some way.
That's right. It's an apparition. It appears. And so we're
actually imagined going out.
Hello, lucky.
Oh, luckily.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's here.
So every step of these, as you said, Mark, involves a movement from an undefined condition. Undefined means without definition, without limit, without form, without shape. Most common experience of everybody, but people tend to concentrate on the known, on the particular, and not notice the moment just before its appearance.
This is
and
so
in
true.
fact, it's the most common experience of everyone. No one knows their next thought.
No, but we think we know.
Yeah.
As soon as it's there.
Is it a little bit like in spiritual teachings when you are guided into meditation and look for the little interval between one thought and the other?
Yeah, it is. If you're truly resting in the interval between thoughts, you feel the thought emerge. You may not feel it until it's pretty dense. But the clearer you are, the more you tend to rest in your natural, unformed state. The subtler the beginnings of thought you notice. You can feel a thought starting even before it becomes a thought. And it's felt as what has been called thought stress. It's a buildup of tension in the person just before the surfacing of a thought.
I can relate to that. This is a feeling that came up while you were speaking. There was something, a memory of something like that.
Yeah, it is a stressful moment. There's a tension. There's a shift that we have to go through. Yeah,
it's a little like burping. Just before you have to burp, there's like a buildup you feel, and then like you feel like you really want to burp. Thoughts are like burping.
Okay. Hey, Lawrence. Oh, Lucky, please, wait a minute.
You have to wait.
You want to do some other process, or what?
Yes. In fact,
Okay,
this will illustrate our discussion now. This has been discussion, and anyone listening trying to understand this mentally by reasoning it is likely to be frustrated. So we have this little process. I discovered that if you have any three of those faculties, but you don't know the fourth is hidden, you can get it to surface without knowing in advance. Getting back to Mark's surprises about things surfacing that you didn't expect. So here it goes like this. It's very simple. We'll take any three of those, and we announced that we were going to do hidden intentions. So let's do that one. And to surface a hidden intention, you need to put your attention on the situation about which you think you may have a hidden intention. We said there's three basic areas: food, sex, and money. That ought to produce an easy access to some item where you wonder if there's a hidden intention. Could be difficulty losing weight. It could be any number of things in those three areas. Once you've identified it, you've selected it, here's what you're going to do. First, we'll describe it, then we'll do it. You put your attention on it. You emphasize remembering it. You notice what you're imagining about it. Could be what you expect to have happen or what you'd like to have happen. And you combine those three and you get a feeling for what that combination feels like. And I'll assist you in combining in a moment.
It's gone.
I think the hidden intention has hidden. Lawrence has disappeared.
Okay.
So,
Was he intending to disappear?
I don't know.
Oh.
Maybe there was some hidden intention. I hope he's realizing it. I guess he is.
I presume he's aware of it.
We just wait a moment.
And he'll come back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, I find it so interesting. I'm curious as in principle.
Sometimes I've tried to talk to you about the fluctuation between thought.
Fluctuation.
Between thought and the in-between time when there's no thought, there's another state that happens. And okay. And I think it's related to the same.
I think you can talk a little bit more because it's very difficult to understand when you are so low.
Oh, I'm speaking too low.
Oh, he's coming back.
There he
he's
is.
back.
Right.
Here you are.
All right. Well,
was this a hidden intention?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So have I got your attention again?
Yes.
All right then. No, I'm going to illustrate something with that, and that is that we experience everything by contrast. Contrast. You notice how much more vivid your attention got when I disappeared and came back? It refreshed your attention.
Yeah.
So the departing from something and coming back to it intensifies the experience of it. So now we're going to go through this procedure in which we use 3 of the 4 faculties to reveal that's a good word, reveal the 4th. And we went through selecting an item, and I said you're going to put your attention on it. You're going to remember more vividly that thing. Imagine what you'd like to have happen, and combine those 3. And I said that I would assist you in combining them. So we're going to do that. And once you've got them combined, the resulting feeling will be the hidden intention. And I expect it will be very familiar to you when you see it, although it will have been hidden before. Okay, so are we ready to begin?
Okay.
All right. So your item, put your attention on it. Now, remember it. Now, remember attending to it. Now attend to remembering it. Good. Now remember that item. Now, imagine what you would like about that item. What would you like to have happen? Now, imagine remembering it. Now, remember imagining what you'd like to have happen. Now, imagine what you'd like to have happen. Now, attend to that item. Put your attention on it. Now, attend to imagining it. Now, imagine attending to it. Now, notice the feeling of that entire effort. That's your intention. Feel that. And that's it. Sometimes the revealed intention is not what we expected, because, say, with items about which we're frustrated, we may discover we were actually against the very thing we thought we were for. Or we may discover something in the way that we didn't know was there. Or we may discover the force of our actual or true intention about it, just more vividly.
So I need your help here, because I don't know what my hidden intention was here.
Did you get a feeling for attending, remembering, and imagining?
Yeah.
Okay, so
At the end, I saw it also shifting in the meantime. This feeling, it was some of certain moment of a, how do you say? It's not excitement in the positive way, more
Anxiety?
no, not even anxiety, but some energetic thing, which was like something like this.
Oh.
right.
And a sort of heaviness in my belly, and then a sort of also expansion. But I felt it really like shortly before you asked if we have felt it.
So it shifted in you.
Yeah, something shifted. I don't know what, and I don't know where and how, and so I couldn't name. I couldn't name anything.
Right. Well, that's likely true. It's a feeling can't be reduced to words, partially because it was subconscious and we couldn't connect it with something recognizable yet, but basically because it's a feeling. So it isn't intention that you can name with words, but it's a feeling of your relationship to that thing.
It was also for a moment like, like wonder, And I sort of this little thing,
Surprise.
surprise, I had just now too when you were talking. Also, I didn't really listen what you said, but there was this a slight surprise moment too.
I relate to that surprise for me because I was thinking about money, and I have this pattern that I have about money and my relationship to money, and a certain being proud of the way I think about money, and projections about it, and memories of it, and really being surprised at how much I really wanted it, despite all my lovely advanced notions about living comfortably within our means and being sure that we would be provided for. But it's hiding that desire, that I don't want to say craving. I'm not sure it was that hard.
It sounds like a hidden intention to me.
Yeah.
Intention to what?
Have more money.
Yeah. Okay. It's as simple.
I would have an open intention in this regard, not a hidden one.
Yours will be somewhere else.
Well, perhaps I'm taking care of your openness here. But there may be some play between us on that regard.
Yeah,
but it was a surprise to know how much I really wanted money. Yeah.
So we can find ourselves out. Take 3 out of the 4 that you have access to, that you can identify. And that'll show us where we're really at something. But we may not, as you say, have recognized it. Might be hidden, idealistically buried, because
repressed,
spiritual people, repressed, there's a good word.
Yeah.
Now,
don't
it's
want
true.
to dwell on that.
You do or don't?
I don't want to dwell on that. You know, it's a little spiritual bypass.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And of course, you know the gold key release, so you could take that not wanting to dwell on it and dissolve that with the gold key release, along with the feeling compulsion that you have to dwell on it, because both dissolve in the gold key release.
Got something to do.
You got something to do.
Yeah.
I'm still thinking about what it is with me, because I choose to be a little lighter. We have already worked on that. And it was a little bit better. And I don't know what the hidden intention is there.
Well, we don't know, of course, what you were concerned about either, but that's not necessary to know it.
No, I said to be lighter.
To be lighter. Oh, okay.
Right. And this, what's also true is it might be necessary to do more than one cycle through. We did just one, and it surfaced for Mark. But some things that are held down pretty strongly may need multiple cycles through in order to get the uncovering to occur. So maybe it takes 2 or 3 cycles instead of 1. But when it surfaces, it's obvious. And yeah, it's understandable that it would be surprising, being it was hidden. And it wasn't hidden by somebody else. We hid it from ourselves.
Oh yeah, this I have understood. Lawrence, we are at the hour.
Okay.
What I would like to ask you, let me think, see if it refaces. What becomes very clear to me that this is a sort of a life practice. This is not a thing you do once for 6 weeks and then it's done.
Even though once makes a difference.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. It makes it definitely a difference. We have seen that in the past, but how is it? Is it a sort of a spiritual practice we could do instead of something else? I mean, I ask also for the people who are watching.
As a support for any other practice.
Okay.
So if you're doing, let's say, mindfulness meditation, vipassana, and you find yourself getting distracted and you're not happy about your practice, so you could use this exercise, put your attention on doing vipassana. Remember, doing vipassana. Imagine either doing vipassana or the outcome you imagine from vipassana. Cycle it through, combine them, discover your hidden intention, which might be, this is so boring, I don't like doing vipassana. Or it could be any number of things. Could be any number of things. So it's a support to any other practice. This is the underpinnings of all intelligences. Thank you, Lucky. One more thing. We did it for hidden intention by doing the other three, but you can surface hidden memories by putting your attention on the thing you want to remember, intending to remember it, and imagining remembering it. You cycle through until you firm those up, notice that feeling, and put your attention on it. And it will take you either into what's repressing the memory so you can dissolve it, or the memory itself will surface. Any three,
Lawrence, I find
anyone.
Okay. I find it very difficult to do these things alone without being guided. So you are doing courses, no? Do you intend to do some of this sort?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to have people be equipped, as many people as possible, so that they can do the kind of changes in their lives and in the world at large that they would like to have happen.
Yeah. So we are waiting for the course coming up.
Yeah.
I mean, the Gold Key Release course has already been and will be again. And this, as far as I've understood, the Gold Key Release is sort of the basic course. Also, we could do that. People could have done that, what we did now, without having done the Gold Key Release. Isn't it true?
It's true.
So you would need the Gold Key Release only in the moment when there are disturbing things coming up and you want to get rid of them. Then you need the release.
Yeah, or something equivalent to it.
Yeah. Okay, so we will, people who are interested in it, contact us on the wisdomfactory.de and let us know. You can subscribe for our newsletter, and there will the next events will come up. Anyway, we will send it out to you. But if you have a specific interest in doing this courses with Lawrence, please let us know so you get a specific invite. Okay.
All right.
Okay, and thank you, Lawrence. And we are probably going to have another little conversation on Blab.
Okay.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.